And welcome back to another episode of Generation Sports Fantasy Edition. Let's kick it. That's right. We're back. We're better than ever. And we're always trying to climb to the top of those standings. That's right. Everybody's trying to get to the top of the mountain, making sure they make those playoffs. As always, I have with me the number one co-host in the world. Say hello.
What's up? I thought you were going to say the number one player. I'm like, no, buddy, that's Gary.
No, that's our other league that you're.
Okay, gotcha.
Remember, you're in first place, and you're the you already won the league if you're in first. So that's what Gary thinks about this league. And then, as always, we have the man, the myth, the legend. We have Mr. Filter. Good morning. Blessings.
Blessings to all. Blessings be to you, brother Sheckman. Blessings be to you as well.
All right. So we have another great episode of the Golden Goose League, the place where woke is not allowed, just like the state of Florida. Let's go.
Do you agree with that? That's his comment.
I had to put it out there. Just had to put it out there. Anyway, before we get into the Week 10 rankings, we're going to go ahead and try something a little different. Go ahead and we're going to do some breaking news, or not breaking news, but we're going to talk a little bit about the news of the week. So what do you got there, Terry? What do we got for the news of the week?
Yeah. So as a reminder, the teams on a bye this week. We have New England, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and the New York Jets. The surprise New York Jets. Nobody's talking about the Giants. Everybody's talking about the Jets.
A lot of quality fantasy players that are going to be out because those teams have a lot of fantasy players. So that's some big implications for the week.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have a couple injuries this week we're following up that could actually have a big impact in our league. Number one, Josh Allen, has an elbow injury that he's been dealing with. We don't know yet if he's going to play this week. They're going to hold him off or, who knows. We have Aaron Jones got hurt last week. I think he'll be okay to play this week, but we shall see. We have other minors, like Ezekiel Elliott. We don't know if he's coming back. Deebo Samuel, I think he should be coming back. And anyone else I can think of? I think that was about it.
So we're still waiting to see this week what's going to happen. Keenan Allen, is he going to make his debut finally?
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor too,
right? Jonathan Taylor, what's going on with him? I mean, there's a lot of different things going out there. Mike Evans got a little banged up. There's rumors that's why he wasn't playing full speed after he got that hit early in the game, which is why his performance was down. So we have to monitor that. So there's quite a bit of.
Romeo Doubs is out for a while too.
Who?
Romeo Doubs.
Yep, Roby and Dobbs went down, so that's going to affect some people. So there's definitely quite a few things going on out there that we're going to have to monitor throughout the week that can definitely change the outlook of some of these matchups. So obviously we're going to go with the assumption that some of these players are in until we hear otherwise. So we're going to have to go with that assumption, but we will discuss during the show what it would look like if some of these key players don't play and where we think that people are going to have to pivot to and what they're going to be able to do to overcome the injuries. Because injuries have been rough this year, let's be honest.
I like it.
All right. So without further ado, then, let's go ahead and kick it in. As always, we want to start off first with our current rankings. Still sitting at 1-8 at the bottom of the barrel. We have Mr. Chris, Too Aggressive. He's probably actually on here watching. Oh, no, my boy Lewis. What's up, Lewis? So thank you for tuning in. He likes.
I heard Chris was, dress shopping, so I don't know if he has a chance to come back.
He might need to, because I tell you right now, he's down at the bottom all by himself, and that dress is looking more and more common every day. Next up, who had a big win last week, Mr. Izzy. Taking down AJ.
Spank AJ. Spank
upset of the week. You know what? The fantasy gods don't like when you call people a bye week, and AJ paid the price.
Wait. Go back a second. Did AJ actually say this was a bye week?
100%. He made that comment.
What a way to just stick it to yourself.
Oh, yeah. He definitely got it stuck to him. Next in the list, and this is where things start to get a little muddy when you start to look at our standings. We got D sitting at 4-5. who took a tough loss last week. You have AJ, who just got beat, as we said, by Mr. Izzy, sitting at 4-5 as well. And then we got the 5-4 teams all mixed up in the middle. It starts with everybody's favorite co-host, Mr.
Fantasy
Terry.
Bus.
Fantasy Bus. He is a bust this year. 5-4. You got Zoe sitting at 5-4 right now, just outside the playoff picture due to points. Next up, you have Mr. Kenny right now sitting at 5-4. He was able to go ahead and squeak it in because of 3-point difference currently, but he is on a 3-game losing streak, so he definitely needs some blessings to go his way. On the flip side, though, we have Mr. Filter sitting at number 5 on a 4-game winning streak. The blessings are starting to flow, and they are flowing strong. You got Mr. Bob sitting at 5-4 as well on a 3-game winning streak. Nice job, Bob, sitting at 4th. And then topping it out for the 5-4 teams, you have Mr. Manny, who took a tough loss to Mr. Filter last week. So that puts him down to 3rd. And then tied at the top with the same record, you have myself sitting at 6-3 with a big win over Mr. Kenny. And then you got Mr. La Flama Blanca, a.k.a. Gary, the only one who's a champion in this league, supposedly. Somehow, we don't know. Sitting at the top because he does have the most points. Sitting at the number 1 seed, first place, the champion, whatever he calls himself, all that kind of good stuff. So that's the way the standings look. That's where it's at in our league and how it's rolling. So I think it's time. Is it time to go ahead and mash it up?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do
We should
it.
have a song like, let's do it.
Let's go. Mash
Let's
up time.
get it on.
All right. So we're going to let Mr. Filter start this one out. And our first matchup is going to be Zoe versus Manny.
Ooh, this is what they call the what is it
The
called?
Nielsen Bowl.
The
Nielsen
Nielsen
Bowl,
Bowl.
yes.
Yeah, no, and they're not talking about it.
No.
It's freaking Wednesday, and they haven't mentioned that.
They
What
haven't
the
mentioned
heck?
they're the first ones to ever come up with a bowl game in
That's
our league.
crazy.
This is the inaugural bowl game matchup, and we haven't heard a single word about it all season, all week. It's
Ooh,
crazy.
What a way to drop the ball.
Hey, don't say anything neither about it. Let's see how long it takes. And we get to see if they listen to the podcast.
That's true.
That's
I like
true.
it. I like where your head's at.
So
All right,
everybody that
everybody-
watches this,
Everybody listening, don't
anything.
mention the Nielsen.
Yeah.
And let's see how long it takes.
All right. Lord of the Blessings, I would like you to go first, and you tell me what you see with this matchup this week.
Man, it's pretty cut and dry, ain't it? I mean, my blessings have to go to Brother Manny. Full squad, McCaffrey. Oh, my apologies.
No,
He is
yeah.
missing- yeah, he is missing Higgins. But even then, man, is McCaffrey just old McCaffrey points, 30 points a game? I mean, it looks like that's possible, right? And then you still got the wide receivers, Diggs, Brown, Lamb. Man, I can see Adams, I guess, competing with Diggs and Ayuk with Lamb, but Robinson with Brown, no thanks. So yeah, my blessings are going to go to Brother Manny.
So here's the flip side, and we said we were going to start discussing this a little bit. If Allen's down, Diggs' projections aren't going to be quite what we think they are. I mean, Case Keenum's a good quarterback, but do we really feel the same way about Stephon Diggs? And let's be honest, Foreman, I mean, that's just a dumpster fire of a team right there. I know he had a couple good games, but he didn't do anything last week. Njoku coming off an injury, don't quite know what that's going to look like, right? And then when you're talking about Brown and Sanders, I get they're studs, but divisional matchups always pose a tough time for teams. It's never quite the same as when you're playing outside the division. So I could see a path here that this game isn't as clear cut dry as you might think it is, right? I mean, what do you think, Terry?
Yeah, I think, I can see why Filter, said, this is like super easy, just to pick Manny because of the players and all that. But you're right. The problem here is that we have a couple like Jalen Hurts, Manny has like Miles Sanders, right? Jalen Hurts, and then Manny has AJ Brown. I think the biggest thing for me, it's just, Darrell Henderson, Jeff Wilson, it's, somewhat coming up, I guess. He's not the starter, but he could put up some points. But I got to go with Manny here. I think, the McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, and those receivers, I think is enough to. Manny came up with like what 220 points like 2 weeks ago, and last week he barely scored like 130, something like that. So that's a huge discrepancy there. So but I think because of the matches, because of that, I'm gonna give it to Manny this week. So
Now,
Yeah, I
that
think-
one thing,
Okay.
I want to, my
Yeah.
apologies.
Go ahead.
Now, do you guys see like that kind of happening as well? Like I do, where a lot of times, like once a player has that big game, right? Like all of a sudden, the next game just is going to be like, I don't know, it's like almost subparish.
like
And that
AJ
happens
Brown,
more often than not. I think. Huh?
like AJ Brown.
Yes. Like a
Yeah.
lot of those players that blew up the week before, then they come, it's almost like I don't know. It's noticeable.
I agree. I think that happens a lot, and that's where the expression comes from a lot when people talk about chasing points, right? Don't chase the points. So when you're going to the waiver wire, and I'll admit, I was the first one to screw that up last week. So I was looking for a tight end, and my gut told me go for Clement, right? From the Bears. I probably said his name wrong.
Comet, yeah.
Yeah, Clement. So my gut said to go for him. But then I went and I was looking. I saw the points produced by the Jets tight end. I was like, oh, maybe it's a trend. And what happens? Clement gets 20-something points. My tight end gets like 1.7, right? Gets one catch the whole game. Like, don't chase points. So
Don't
with that
say
being said,
projections,
then
you mean projections.
projection. Yeah. So when you look at that, so does that mean, some of these players could do more or could do less? I don't know. I will say this. I don't think I get the projections make it look like the team makes it look like, but like you said, Manny didn't have a great week last week. So it's very possible for him to underperform again.
But I'm saying the week before his team blew up. So now it should come around to where like, okay, AJ Brown, it's time to get him back going. I can see an upswing in potential points because they just had a down week last week.
Okay, I got you. All right, I'll buy that.
So who do you go with?
I think I am going to go with Manny as well. I mean, I'm just trying to be able to have the other side of the foot be looked at, because I do see a path that possibly, if Debo doesn't play, Ayuk's going to look a lot better now that they have that running game with McCaffrey. So Ayuk could put up some points. Adams, I mean, look what he did last week and only played one half, right? Imagine if he would have been able to play the second half, what he could have actually done. So there's ways for this team, and every time that Brown scores a touchdown, Zoe gets points for it, right? So that's also bodes well in Zoe's favor that no matter what happens with AJ Brown, he's going to get the points with it. So that kind of deters AJ Brown a little bit. And there's a 50-50 chance if Sanders scores a touchdown that he could get the points for it, right? Because unless he runs it in. So I do think that kind of brings it a little bit more down to earth on the matchup than what we actually just see on paper. That's all. All right.
No, you make a killer argument for Zoe, to be honest with you.
All right. So let's take a look at the next matchup. We have, by the way, those teams are both 5-4. So that's going to be a very good matchup to, because it can help determine some of these seedings. Then we have a 5-4 versus 4-5. Could be another important game when it comes to seeding. You got Bob versus D. Terry, you can go ahead and break this one off first.
Yeah. So this one is interesting because D has two Chicago players, receivers, and Bob is using Justin Field. Doesn't mean he's gonna throw a lot, but if he does, it could help D on that matchup. I think it comes out to Jonathan Taylor, but he does have Jamal Williams. I'm gonna go with it. I think he's the hottest team right now, Bob. I think he's won like 3 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So let me see. I'm gonna confirm that, but he I don't think I can see that here. So.
I believe the hottest winning streak right now is Mr. Filter with 4.
4. Okay, well the second hottest then. All right, so I'm gonna go with Bob. Justin Fields is playing really good. He's going against arguably one of the worst offenses in Detroit. You have Dalvin Cook, ETN. Dalvin Cook has been getting like a lot more playing time, man. Like a lot of more snaps. I was a little bit worried about him, at the beginning because they were giving Madison a lot of work. But I think last week Madison only played like 5 snaps, 7 snaps, something like that. So. And he got Cordell Patterson back, man. I mean, this guy, like, coming back from injury. I mean, he put up, what is it, like 21 points. So I'm gonna go with Bob on this one. I think there's too much. The receivers with these, they're not exciting to me. So I'm gonna go with Bob.
All right, what do you got, Mr. Blessings?
Yeah, I'm going with Brother Bob as well. I agree. Like, I have the longest winning streak, but that's just kind of luck, I guess, more. But Bob's team is scoring. Bob's team is hot right now. And look at the players. Fields, this is the best the Bears have played in the past year and a half, 3 years, 4, whatever, however long it is. And now they're letting Fields run. They're not pulling that back.
Did you hear what happened with
Fields?
him?
I think he's going to have a monster rest of the year. His rushing upside is he could be Jalen Hurts last year, right? He has that type of rushing upside. So now he put him in the top epsilon of QBs in our league, and just everything else. Metcalf, Judy, Hardman. I'm trying to look at D's team where he would have an advantage, but I don't know. I just don't see it on D's team. And we still don't know about Taylor, right? We don't know if he's coming back or if he's played yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my blessings will go to Brother Bob.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a path for D to win. It all depends, though, on health and things like that. I think with, if Jonathan Taylor can be Jonathan Taylor and they can get a shot in the arm with Jeff Saturday taking over, and maybe he's an ex-offensive lineman, he's like, fuck it, let's ground and pound. Let's just go at it. That could be an avenue for Jonathan Taylor to do well. We always got, Chubb is Chubb. Let's be honest. And Miami's defense, we saw it last week. I get they just got the other Chubb on their side of the ball, but it's not looking great. So he could run all over them. Easy, right? Pollard, Green Bay's defense is garbage. Pollard could have a field day. Okay. And Detroit, look, I know they looked good against Green Bay, but everybody knows you can throw the ball all over the place on Detroit. Okay. So, and they want to be able to open it up. And if they're worried about, right, when you talk about progressions, and this is what you guys just talked about, Justin Fields just had that huge running game. You don't think that's the number one thing that they're going to try to stop? Not saying they're going to, but they're going to be looking at it. That's going to open up opportunities to throw the ball. Now, the downside goes back to, like we just talked about in the other matchup. If either of them are catching touchdowns, he's getting points for it. So I think that, to me, is going to be the biggest factor of why I'm going with Bob. But I definitely would see a path for D to be able to pull it off. I just think the problem is when you have two receivers that are on the same team and they have the quarterback on the other team, you're at a huge disadvantage. Okay? Because every time you're getting 6 points, you're only really gaining 1 point, right? Because you get the 1 point for the catch, and Justin Fields still gets 6 points. So you're really only getting 1 point for those plays. So I'll give my love to Bob.
Hey, I don't know if you heard this about Justin Fields. It was pretty funny to me. They went on the bye week, and coming out of the bye week, the coaches went and review all the game plan for like Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson when he was in Houston. And that's why they decided to make a change in the way that they were, the plays they're running for Justin Fields. And here I'm thinking like why you never did this before? Like, he's been a running quarterback this whole time. So it's, it's just funny to me that, this guy's like super smart coaches in the NFL and, not so much.
Yeah. That 61-yard touchdown, did you see what he did? He literally did a hop in the air. He literally wasn't touching the ground. As he landed, he made a cut and broke it for that 61-yard touchdown. Absolutely one of the sickest plays I've ever seen.
Hey, but and just for everybody watching out there.
He is Fields, like I said, Fields is going to end up being like the hottest QB, I think. And I don't think this is going to be one of those. I think this is what Terry was trying to explain as well. Is like, we're like, okay, he just had this big game. He should come down a little bit. No, I think Fields is going to start being anywhere from a 27-plus point running back going forward, at least in our league, because you get 0.25 per carry even for a running back. So he's gonna kill it the rest of the year, I think.
Hey, look, definitely. By the way, I didn't realize it, but they're calling this rivalry week. I don't know why we're considered rivalry week. By the way, do we have a name for the other matchup? What's the bowl name for the other matchup? Bob versus D.
The almost kicked out bowl.
The almost. Okay, that's a good one. The almost, because both have had their times. All right. So next up,
That
we
might be-
have.
Hold on, we gotta enjoy. That might be the funniest thing Terry ever said.
Oh,
Holy
come on,
shit,
bro.
man. We could
I
enjoy
truly
that.
enjoy say funny
Oh.
things, and you're gonna
That
say
was-
that's the funniest one. I'll
That
take
was.
it.
I don't know. That was funny to me.
That's
All right.
So
Next
all right, proceed.
matchup we're going to talk about is going to be Mr. Terry versus Mr. Kenny. Mr. Filter, I'll let you start. What is the name of this bowl game? What bowl game is this?
I told Kenny that we were gonna call it the Danny
Here,
Amendola
let me
Bowl.
see here.
I figured maybe like the Fiesta Bowl or something. Fiesta, andale.
Is Kenny Hispanic?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know. This is a tough one. I almost said the I will have stopped living with check balls.
This is
I will have stopped living.
No,
with
when
check as well
Filter and
balls.
Kenny play, it's
The
the
what?
Sheckman ex-roommate bowl. But that's when they play each other.
But I was gonna say that the I will have stopped living with check as well bowl. Get it?
Well, now that doesn't really. That's not really. fair.
Not really. Okay.
No.
I don't know. I was gonna call it the Danny Amendola
what
Bowl.
work in progress.
Yeah. We'll come back to it. For right now, we'll call it the Siesta Bowl.
But
No, we'll call it the Mighty Mouse Bowl.
all right, we'll come back to it. But
Andale, arriba. Let's go. All right, what do you got, Filter? What do you got in this matchup?
This guy makes a comment at the beginning about Florida, and he's making
First,
this comment.
that, oh my gosh! First thing, that was racist, and I hope your listeners.
Well, I live in the
Comment
state of
and flag
Florida,
this-
and being woke is not allowed, so it's okay. The governor specifically said it last night in the speech. I'm allowed to do that.
So, anyways, my blessings have to go to Brother Kitty. I mean, unfortunately, Brother Terry, this is a bad week for Brother Terry. I mean, he has to drop 2 people to fill out his roster. And who is Brother Terry going to drop? But as for the matchup,
Oh, so you're saying there's a chance I can pick up Beckham for free?
Yeah, I
Okay.
No, that's the last one. I will freaking.
this
I will
is
only.
this is what I would call a bye week for Brother Kenny.
Ooh.
It's a bye week.
Last time somebody called a bye week, it did not go well.
No, but that was the player, not somebody bystanding. All right. When I look at this, I know once again, I think my instincts are like, oh yeah, it's going to be Brother Kenny. But if you start to dig into what's really going on, I don't know about that, right? Fournette is not running the ball well, and neither is Tampa Bay. And there's talks that he's going to get less and less carries this week, that they're trying to get that backup. I forget his name. Is it White?
I have it on my lineup.
Is it? Oh yeah, White is going to start getting more and more touches and more opportunities. Aaron Jones is banged up, and Dallas is a good run-stopping defense. So I'm not looking at Aaron Jones. Now, Higbee maybe could be a bounce back after getting a goose egg last week, right? Because like we talked about the roller coaster of points and everything. Singletary is going to be split in time more and more with Hines. He has another week under his belt. Like, Godwin ain't doing great out there because they're having problems. And this game's in Germany, so who knows what's going to happen with that whole thing, right? Same thing with Geno Smith traveling to Germany. Don't know what you're going to, how that's going to affect their play because it's never been seen before. There's a lot of question marks right now on Brothers Kenny's team. I don't think it's as cut and dry as we make it out to be. Versus Mahomes is going to be Mahomes, especially against Jacksonville. Arizona's defense isn't very good. Cooper Kupp finds a way to get open by himself every single game, right? Sutton's not great. We get granted. If there was one running back I would want to go against Dallas, it'd probably be the one that's not afraid to be able to pound the ball, which is Dylan. I mean, he's got 2 good tight ends. I'll be honest. I have a feeling Brother Terry is going to do what Brother Terry does, and Brother Terry's going to find a way. And so go ahead and here first. Give me Brother Terry for the blessings, for the victory.
Who is Brother Terry gonna put at wide receiver? Who on the waiver wire, unless he makes a trade, which we all know, everybody listening has probably gotten an offer, or questions asked about players, but Brother Terry has to literally pick up someone on the waiver wire and start them as a wide receiver unless he makes a trade. Like that
Well,
instantly gives you.
I think DeAndre Carter's still out there, if I'm not mistaken.
Right there, just
No, he's not.
Oh, I don't know. I
no,
definitely
there's
think
no one out there. You've been making great arguments against. Like really impressed how well you've done with those. But
listen, there's Terrence Marshall. Listen, there's Marshall Jr.
Player that
He's not out there either.
Marshall Jr. is.
No, he's not.
That's the wrong league.
And then you just said Aaron Jones. Hey, but then you just said Aaron Jones going up against a tough run defense in Dallas, and then somehow AJ Dillon is a good play against.
No, I didn't say he's a good play. I said out of the two, I would prefer Dillon in this matchup.
I think it's gonna
misconstrue what I'm saying.
I think it's gonna come down to, if Aaron Jones is healthy and he plays, full snaps, that's gonna hurt me. I was, no, that I.
But listen, there's a couple players out there. Osborne's out there. Like these are players that can have a good week. It's not. I know they're not who you want to start every week, but this is a player. Osborne, you could plug in. Sawarskins from LA, you could plug in. There's a couple players out there you could plug in and hope and just kind of see what's going to happen. You got James Jr. for the Giants going against Houston, right? It's not like I know we don't want them. That's why they're on the waiver wire, but they're also players that who have gotten 18 points in a game this year. So it's not like it's unbelievable that it could happen again. So there are some avenues out there. I'm just saying I don't think it's a lock. I think Brother Terry finds a way.
I'm going to go with Kenny on this one.
I do think it's funny, though, that they have, that he is running with the backups to Kenny's starters on running backs.
Yeah,
I do think that's kind of ironic.
Too. Yeah. So. I think one of the things here is going to be, if Josh Allen doesn't play, could that give an advantage to Kenny because of, the running game? You would think that they're going to use the running game more. So that's Singletary. That would be the only one, but he also has those games in Germany, like you said, you already mentioned that. So I'm just going to go with the fact that he has the starters. I have the backups. His receivers are better than mine. Maybe I got him on quarterback, but I'm going to go with Kenny just because of that. And the fact that, whatever.
Yeah, we get it. You're just saying the same thing, just a different tone. All right. So let's go ahead and let's move into the next one. We got 5-4 versus 6-3. Oh man, it's the All About Me Bowl. Oh, big matchup here. We got Mr. Gary versus Mr. Filter. It's All About Me Bowl. Mr. Terry, go ahead. Make it all about you and tell us what you think first.
So yeah, this is a tough one. I didn't know Filter was projected that many points. I think when I look at this, both of them had 3 great running backs. Walker is so hot right now, man. Jacob has been down. They are going against Indianapolis. The expectation is that they're going to dominate that game, and Jacobs could have a lot of success against that. DeAndre Swift said he's going to be fine for this week. So I think those 3 running backs going against Henry, Eckler, and Gibson, I'm going to say somewhat that's a wash just because Eckler is going against San Francisco and Henry going against Denver. But when it comes to the receivers, man, I think that's where La Flama Blanca kind of got it, man. It's just, Waddle, Hopkins, and Cooper have been playing pretty good. They're pretty hot. I can't trust McLaurin, not against Philadelphia. Juju has been playing great. How much is he going to be used against Jacksonville? It's kind of hard to tell. And the problem will be Josh Allen. If Josh Allen does not play, which it seems that's going to be what's going to happen, that might be a little bit of a risk. But I can't go against La Flama Blanca. He's averaging like over 160 points every week. That means that, Filter will have to match his projections, and, that's going to be hard. So I'm going to go with Mr. Gary.
All right. When I look at this, once again, I see some things that are, stick out to me. Hopkins and Murray have had a little bit of grief last week from what I heard. And you're looking at going against Jalen Ramsey. Once again, too, every touchdown Hopkins gets, brother Gary only really gets 1 point for it, right? Because he's got Kyler Murray on the other side. Welcome, Mr. Chris. We'll get you jumping in on the next one. So I don't think Hopkins is going to be a difference maker. Denver's a tough D. Eckler, I mean, they're having problems passing the ball over there, and they're not doing a great job running the ball. And San Francisco's got a great D. So, I'm not overly huge on that. Philly's D strong. Gibson, I don't think is going to be able to do too much. And if Allen, I think the difference maker is going to be Allen. If Allen plays, I see him having a slight edge. If Allen doesn't play, I think Brother Filter has an opportunity. Indy has a great D, and they're able to stop the run and everything, but I think Jacobs can do what he needs to do. Kenneth Walker, I think, is going to be fine. I mean, when we're talking about going over to Germany, I think the one thing that travels well usually is running games and those types of things. Swift, that's a big question mark to me, though. And I think that's where the difference maker is going to come in. I think Juju's going to have another Juju game, get you almost 20 points. Lazard's going to be fine. McLaurin, that's hit or miss. You never know. But, I have a feeling that, the blessings have to decide what's right and what's wrong on this earth, right? And the right thing to do for the blessings is to definitely give it to Mr. Filter. Okay. And so I'm going to go with my gut where I think the blessings are going to go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this dub to Mr. Filter. I think he finds a way to pull it out. I think that the matchups are just not in the favor of La Blanca. And we've seen La Blanca have a 230-point game and then follow it up with literally a 120-point game.
Who?
Okay. So
Gary?
I think it's going to be a down game.
Gary, you talking about him 120 points, or you're talking about
Gary? Like I've seen Gary's team has he's had low scoring games just like Manny did last week. I think he's going to have a Manny type of week, and Filter's going to be able to do enough to pull off the win. Give me Filter or give me death. Go ahead, Mr. Filter.
Man, I am winning by. Think about how I won the last few games. Against AJ, I needed get less than 7 points. Got it. Manny's game was just. I've been skating by truly by blessings is how I've been skating by, and unfortunately, I know Allen can play or not play, but my wide receivers are my weakness, and I have guys that can literally all three of my guys can put up a 9-point game. All three of them can, and it could be this week, and that's kind of what happens. I have one wide receiver who does well, the other two don't. Yeah, my blessing is going with, and even Swift and Gibson right now, they're kind of the same player. It washes out. He's got me with the wide receiver. I mean, I know I get the Hopkins Murray connection, but even then, my blessings go to Brother POTUS.
All right. Mr. Chris, you want to jump in and say who your blessings go with in this It's All About Me matchup bowl? Oh, he disappeared. Okay, anyway, so we'll move on. All right, cool. So let's go to the next matchup, which ironically is involving Mr. Chris. So next up, we have AJ sitting at 4-5 and Chris sitting at 1-8. I wonder what AJ thinks about this matchup, if he's going to call it another bye week, or if he's going to go ahead and curve that talk. But Mr. Filter, you can go ahead and jump in first on this one.
You know what? I'm going to start this off with what you've been saying. At first glance, you think, oh, this is going to be AJ. But you know what? I'm still going to go with Brother AJ. It's
I love it. I love it.
I was overlooking it. I was looking at it again. I'm like, I'm starting to compare. You don't know what you're getting with DJ Moore. It looks like what's his face is coming back to be starter, right?
Terrace Marshall. Oh no. They say PJ Walker is gonna be the starter.
So Gabriel Davis hasn't been doing much. Barkley against Houston. Every running back that has went up against Houston has just exploded. That is an unquestionable fiery pick from POTUS. Barkley could put up 40 points in this game on his own. But he has a question at tight end, and we don't know, man. Cooks could be digging his cleats in and pulling, like, hey, I'm injured, I can't play, and just because something's going on there, and he's not very happy right now. So, but Chris's team, I mean, gas dig, man. He needs a lot to happen. So my blessings are gonna go with brother AJ on this one. Brother AJ did call this a bye week when I talked to him last week, saying he had back-to-back bye weeks.
Well, that's gonna hurt if he loses this one. But yeah, I would have to. I mean, right off looking at it, I think it's just the Barkley versus Houston. That's all I need to see. I'm giving it to brother AJ.
Yeah, I think this is one that I could see, kind of easy to call AJ. I think AJ, could have potentially a bad week again. I do see Barkley putting up a lot of points, but I don't know. It's hard to go. I think every week I say the same thing, but I don't think I'm ever gonna pick Chris.
It's just tough when Chris came. I mean, I don't mean to say bad or disrespectful to him, but his team's not even putting up 100 points a week. Like,
Right.
I mean, until I see something, I can never go with Chris's team, unfortunately, anymore. Because even on the matchups that look like he should win, he's putting up 100 points. So
Yeah, that's the toughest part. So he has to go over his projections, and then AJ will have to just take a dump like he did last week. But
all right, last matchup to talk about on this one is going to be myself versus Mr. Izzy. 6-3 versus 3-6. Go ahead and Mr. Chris, I see you're back on the screen. Do you want to talk about this matchup? No, okay, that's fine. I'm glad you're here. I'll take you off screen too if you want, since I know you're working. Okay, you're good. Okay. All right. So Mr. Terry, go ahead. What do you got first?
I'll go last, please, and thank you.
Okay.
yeah, so I mean, I think this one it's a good week for Easy. To try to pull up another win, based on the fact that, you have Lamar Jackson on a bye, Joe Mixon, Mark Andrews. Those are pretty good players that you're going to have. They're not going to be with you this week. So I could see maybe Easy pulling it off. I mean, it comes out to whether Deebo Samuel and Keenan Allen play, and he has Elliott too. So there's 3 players right there that we have no idea. He has Cam Akers on his starting lineup right now. He's projected 2.91 points. Holy moly. This is tough, man. I'm just gonna go with the fact that you got Pierce, you got Mustard, Lavi, Evans. I mean, I think they're in a much better position to put up points. Daniel Jones, he's been running the ball, and we're talking about Barkley running the ball against Houston. Against Daniel Jones could go for 6 for 60. If they have a pretty good passing defense, so I think that's what's creating the rushing attack to be so powerful against Houston. So I'm just gonna go with light it up, Mr. Check.
Brother Filter, you're up. What do you got?
I can see where Izzy can get back-to-back wins here. That's a true possibility. If Deebo Samuel is healthy and plays, we know what his ceiling can be. Keenan Allen, they're dying for a wide receiver. If he comes back and plays, that should be more than the projected points.
Which you also heard Check because he has Palmer.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, though. Does it hurt or does it help? Because the thing is, with Palmer being the number one, that kind of hurts him a little bit, right? Because the attention goes to him. If Allen comes back, I would argue that helps Palmer because it takes the pressure off of him.
He's just not going to get but they still Gerald Everett, Eckler, now Keenan Allen. He's not. There's still other wide receivers and tight ends that they throw to. So I think it definitely hurts. But anyways, Pierce, I was wrong about Pierce. Man, that dude is a beast, and he's done well against every defense, right?
Yeah.
Since he's role. So that's 20 points right there. Najee, what is he averaging? 14, 15? But let's just say they cancel each other out. Mostert, Zeke to me cancel each other out. But I like his Ertz over Komet. I think whoever he ends up putting at flex can at least put up 10 points. I don't know. I'm going to go with and Daniel Jones. He's probably that game. They should win that game with a running with Barkley. I just don't think they're going to put up a bunch of points. I think it's just going to be a solid win where they don't need Daniel Jones to do much. And what'd you say about the Tampa Bay offense traveling? Mike Evans. We don't know what's that. Yeah, my blessings are going to go to Brother Izzy on this one.
Yeah. I've kind of said it since the beginning. I see a clear path for me to get beat this week. Now that they went out and got Jeff Wilson, maybe it was just a new toy, so they gave him a lot of love, but I think they have them. I was talking to Brother Filter about this off air earlier. I just think they're the type of offense with McDaniels. He wants to be Niner-esque, right? He doesn't want one guy touting the ball. So that doesn't bode well for Mostert. So, I'm still debating between him and Herbert. I may put in Khalil Herbert instead and play him. I don't know. But I definitely feel like, it's going to be tough. I'm going to have a tough matchup. And I do have a strong feeling that the blessings are going to be there for Brother Izzy after all the things that he's gone through and he's had to deal with this fantasy season. The fantasy gods are going to bestow those blessings upon him because he's stayed true to who he is. He stayed true to what he's trying to do. He refused to do certain things that he didn't feel were good deals at the time, regardless if he goes about it the wrong way when he announces it. But at the end of the day, I'll give my blessings to Brother Izzy. I think he finds a way. I have a weird feeling that this is going to be a Devontae Smith week, not an A.J. Brown week. And I think that's going to be the difference maker. Devontae Smith is going to be the 3-touchdown guy like A.J. Brown was. Chris, if you got something you want to add?
Greetings and salutations to you all out there. I hope that you are drinking water and sustaining victory to the best of your abilities. Click, like, share. You know what to do. Follow Generation Shock. Monster, check Monster Hook. All right, so my unbiased opinion is I believe that Izzy is going to end up losing this week. For one of the main reasons why I believe that is Elliott has been slowly declining, right? Pollard has been getting more and more fantasy value than Elliott has, especially depending on where you draft Elliott. But we see the decline in Elliott's role, and I would not be surprised if they trade away Elliott during the offseason. In regards to Aaron Rodgers, listen, what can we say about Aaron Rodgers that hasn't been said already? I have been seeing a slight trend of people dropping Aaron Rodgers, and who would have thought that, Aaron Rodgers, Mr. MVP would have been getting dropped from teams, but he hasn't been able to do much, but it's no fault of his own due to the fact that the team decides to put their money into other stuff besides wide receivers, all right? Deebo Samuel, still a lot of question mark. Keenan Allen, I mean, what can he really do? I know he's projected to 13.66 points. The likelihood of that happening with what you discussed earlier in regards to Palmer might take some of those touchdowns away from him. But all in all, I still feel like based off of and you have some question marks as well with Mostert and Cole Kmet. But Cole Kmet has been sneakily rising little by little, and he's being utilized more in the red zone. But for that, I feel like Shaq Monster is going to take this W. Back to you, Kent.
All right. I appreciate that feedback. Love the analysis. And that is the last matchup of the week. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to discuss or throw out there? We got a few more minutes. We can talk. If not, we can wrap it up. It's up to you guys.
I do.
Oh, wait. Real quick, though. What's the bowl game name for my matchup? Me versus Izzy. What's the matchup called? Any ideas?
Sugar honey iced tea. I don't know yet.
The Hey You Bowl.
Yeah, well, okay. You're done with naming bowls there, Terry. Anyway,
why don't you like that one,
Mr. Chris? What do you got, bud? You said you had something you wanted to add. He stepped away. Oh, he's back. Nope, he's gone again. Oh, it's a game. Oh, where's he gonna go? Oh, hey, there he is again.
Just leave that blank and I'll fill it in later. All right. So real quick. So in regards to the matchup between me and AJ, I get it. In regards, I listened in a little bit on it, and I get as to why I would be the underdog or not likely to win. But how bad would that be for Mr. AJ if he loses back-to-back weeks to two of the worst teams currently in the league? Okay, and
That would be. That
We
would
might
be,
lose.
we
We
would-
might lose him from the chat. It'd be devastating. We'd have to go on. We would literally have to have somebody there, like Kenny, who lives near him, go check up on him every hour.
Yeah, that'd be he would be devastated. I mean, he did say back-to-back bye weeks. So
did he
saying.
now back-to-back bye weeks? Okay, I'm gonna take that back to the chat.
he was like he thought he was just cruising to the playoffs. That brings me to my question. Last week we did who's in, who's out for the playoffs. Has that changed since last week? Or are we still on the same people who are out of the playoffs?
So clearly, my team. Sorry to interrupt there.
No, go ahead.
But clearly, my team, mathematically, even if I win out for the rest of the season, that'll put me at what 6 and. Well, I'm 1 and. Give me one quick second.
Hey, well,
I
he
should
did
know
his
math.
math. I gotta go. So peace out.
Later, bud.
6 and 8. I should be 6 and 8. So
Yeah, you're definitely out of it.
yeah, I'm definitely out of it because as it was discussed multiple times before, the magic number is what 8.
Yeah.
And even that 8 is still questionable depending on how many points you score throughout the year.
No, we
So-
say eight. No, we were saying 8's you're definitely in. 7's the one that's going to be points driven, right? 7 wins
Yeah,
is
seven. The total you're looking for is 7 wins. When you start the season, you want at least 7 wins.
and the fact that you'll
I
end
don't
up
think-
6
I don't
and 8, you're just outside that 7. There's no way, unfortunately, you're going to be able to do it then. That's why we said you had to run the table starting last week, because then at least it seemed plausible mathematically for you to still be in it.
Yeah. So even if and it's highly unlikely that I win out due to the fact of who I'm facing the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I believe I'm facing all but one possible playoff contenders at this time. So when I said earlier in the year that I'll be playing spoiler, that's what I was trying to allude to in regards to the possibility of me.
Got that.
Say again?
We got. But the thing now is got to be not. Who cares that we know? All right, you're out of playoffs, but now it's got to be survival mode, not to wear that dress, not to come in the last place. So now you got to figure out a way to beat. Brother, it's really
And I looked at I compared both of our schedules, and his schedule is debatable on a little bit easier than mine, but he is also facing playoff contenders. And I know I'm currently 2 games back, but after this week,
Dude,
this
real
so-called
quick.
rivalry week,
I get
if
it.
I'm able to beat
Bro.
AJ, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but listen, real quick before you, because you keep on saying this thing, like, just so you know, outside of you two, every team is a playoff contender right now, and not saying that he's not either. I'm not saying Izzy's not, but what I'm saying, if you go by records, it's 2 4 5s, a bunch of 5 and 4s, and 2 6 and 3s. Yes, everybody you play is going to be a playoff contender currently. Everybody Izzy plays, unless he's playing you, is a playoff contender currently. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's just funny to hear you say it, but that's the way the matchups
Allegedly.
are. Yeah.
Allegedly, but I got you. I got you in what you're saying. But after this week, it will favor me if I win and he loses this week,
Yes.
because then I'll be that much closer. And I still do not foresee myself coming in last, even though my record shows as though I might.
Listen, if you win this week and he loses this week, you definitely. I'm going to put it like this: if he wins and you lose, you're going to be in last place. Like, I'm sorry, you have to win and you have to have him lose. Well, you don't have to win, but you have to have him lose. He cannot. If he wins, doesn't matter what you do. If he wins, you're in trouble.
Yeah, right now I'm trying to pull up.
What do you got, Mr. Filter? You got anything else you want to add before we wrap up this episode?
hey, go to the last episode, the one that we did, right, where we ranked who's in, who's out. Write those down, because I don't remember who we necessarily the list was. But then next time when we do the next pod, we can go back to that and be like, all right, has this changed? Is it still the same? And end one of the pods on that.
Well, I already know the list.
Oh, you have it?
No, but I know off the top of my head, Gary, you had Manny, Gary, me, Bob, AJ, and Zoe, I believe. Those were the 6.
And you agreed with that, right? Like in no particular order, I guess, but those
Yeah.
6 as well.
Yeah.
Has that changed after last week?
Not yet. No. I told you I think you're going to be on that fringe. I do think, like I said, I still think you're on that fringe that you could be the one to bust somebody's bubble. And right now, I think it's AJ's you're looking to bust.
I am only trying to bless the bubbles, brother AJ. Do not try to bust mine. And I'll leave it. Blessings be it all. And I love you.
Chris, thanks for jumping in for a quick hot minute. Appreciate you, Mr. Filter. For my co-host who had to run because he had life things to take care of. And for everybody over here at Generation Sports Fantasy Edition and the Golden Goose League, we bid you blessings be to all. Good night and goodbye.